Welcome to the Get a Life podcast. Explore survivor stories. Uncover the hidden truths. Join our X-Cult conversations. You matter, and so does your story.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Get a Life podcast. I'm Cheryl. I'm here to do a quick video on the Strive 26 seminar that just happened. There has been a lot of controversy over what was said there, and we are going to do a full in-depth Strive 26 podcast, but for now, I just wanted to read out two insider comments that were posted on social media that cover something that will answer many of the emails and messages that I've got. So I really want to just read these out. So this post says, insider here, Strive 26 was an absolute joke. We laughed out loud watching it. It was like watching an awkward mega church without the music and fireworks. I could not believe my ears hearing them say words not in the brethren vocabulary. Cult, ATO, brainwashing, mental health, etc. Here is a triple P for you. P1, performance. Standing ovation of trying to be inclusive by having females on your panel. It came across as incredibly forced. P2, policed. I can guarantee each locality will have a yappy dog ensuring each household watches Strive 26 and creates a reset plan and subscribes to the Brethren YouTube channel and contributes to the ecosystem. P3, psychological pressure. As for brainwashing, there is no brainwashing. Dean Hales, 2025. People who have kept silent are starting to speak quietly about their concerns. I never thought I would see the day. It is so much easier to breathe. A message to the other insiders. You are not alone. I wish there was a way we could all find each other. A message to outsiders. Please be kind to us on the inside. It makes a difference. To the Get a Life podcast team. You have no idea how incredible you are to us in here. Please keep up what you do. So this is the second post that was on there. It's attention Dean Hales. Criteria for a cult. Dean, on the recent Strive 26 presentation, you made for the third time a powerful statement that the PBCC is not a cult and that there are 3 criteria for a cult, which you list as, number 1, recruiting new members, 2, absolute control, 3, brainwashing, and claim that we do none of these, so therefore we are not a cult. The interesting thing is that nowhere is there only 3 criteria for a cult. In all generally accepted definitions of the characteristics of a cult, there will be 8 to 10 criteria that cults display, and an organization only needs to meet about 3 of them to be classed as a cult. The more criteria they meet, the more culty they are. You conveniently ignored the other 7 criteria. Why is this? Are they too hard for you to defend? The 3 criteria you list, the PBCC definitely meets 2 out of the 3, and a case can be made for the 3rd, but you're relying on what you think is the general ignorance of the PBCC members, that they will not be intelligent enough to pick up on your sleight of hand here. Before we move on to the actual 10 criteria for a cult, let's briefly address your 3 criteria. Number 1, recruiting new members. No, the PBCC does not attempt to recruit new members from the outside, firstly, because in this day and age, no one in their right mind would join something like this. And secondly, the 55,000 number is about just right to keep sucking people for time and money, yet still being able to manage the numbers. New members are recruited or locked in at birth with infant baptism and then a steady stream of conditioning or indoctrination as they grow up, therefore negating the need for an active recruitment program. 2, absolute control. No, the PBCC does not dictate to us what food we have to eat or minute details like that, but we do get regular letters from the Universal Elders banning travel, banning social media. You have a meeting every day, which is a form of control and means people have to adjust their lives and movements around this or face social pressure and stigma. People have to obtain permission from Sydney to marry and to do non-sanctioned overseas travel. The list goes on and on. I don't think this is a point you really want to contest. 3, brainwashing. Firstly, let's look at the official definition of brainwashing. Brainwashing is the systematic effort to get someone to adopt a particular deception, loyalty, instruction, or doctrine without their will or awareness. There are many ways to achieve this end, and daily meetings with indoctrination about the great men, our brother, system of help and care, with recordings and ministry of the great men, pushing their doctrine and all the loyal PBCC members in every break, telling stories glorifying the great men, and the PBCC system combined with trying to restrict members' access to information, thereby controlling the narrative and what the members are allowed to know and think, is a form of brainwashing. The majority of our meetings now are about the great men, BDH in the system, and Jesus Christ, the blood and the cross and things like that make up a very small supporting role. Tell me, what exactly is the message you are trying to plant and lock into the brains of the PBCC members? Is it Christ or the great men? Again, this is not a point you want to contest. All of your meetings and seminars are pure brainwashing and indoctrination. Now we have gone through your 3-point list. Let's look at the generally accepted 10 criteria for a cult from the cultrecovery101.com website and run through them one by one. Number 1, the group is focused on a living leader to whom members seem to display excessively zealous, unquestioning commitment. Yes, the PBC definitely meets this criteria. The main focus of the PBCC is Bruce Hales and the great men. Meetings are regularly all about BDH, and BDH's own meetings are all about stories of himself or his father JSH, occasionally JT Jr. or JHS thrown in if they are needing to support a current initiative. PBCC members idolize BDH and the family, talk about them all the time, have their pictures on the walls, speak about him in meetings with qualities and titles usually reserved for divine persons and Jesus, and his word is law and unable to be questioned. 2, the group is preoccupied with bringing in new members. Technically, no, the PBCC doesn't meet this criteria. However, a case can be made about locking members in from birth, but to be fair and generous, we will award this point to Dean. No, the PBCC does not recruit new members. 3, the group is preoccupied with making money. Yes, the PBCC definitely meets this criteria. Every single UBT/PBCC seminar or presentation is about making money or extracting money from members. BDH himself in meetings regularly reverts to speaking about money, business, or accounting. It is common knowledge that the criteria for a high position in the PBCC, apart from loyalty, is wealth and money, without which you are an insignificant peasant. Money trumps all in the PBCC, and the PBCC and UBT and its leaders are obsessed above all with money. Number 3, questioning, doubt, and dissent are discouraged or even punished. Yes, the PBCC definitely meets this criteria. Just try asking a simple question about Aberdeen or anything that may require the PBCC hierarchy or system to have the smallest shred of accountability and see what happens to you. The social stigma and pressure brought on someone who asks inconvenient questions is suffocating, let alone the crushing pressure once the local priesthood gets involved if your question is deemed enough of a threat to the system. 4, mind-numbing techniques such as meditation, speaking in tongues, denunciation sessions, debilitating work routines are used to suppress doubts about the group and its leaders. Yes, the PBCC definitely meets this criteria. The assembly calendar itself is a debilitating work routine on top of people's normal lives that leaves them exhausted with little time for critical thinking and to catch their breath. Then you add in the constant repetition of slogans and sayings in the meetings designed to reinforce trust and loyalty in our brother. Then you add overpriced overseas trips and weekend meetings at a couple times of years to keep people extra busy and numb with alcohol and social activity, leaving them no time for any thinking. Then throw in Friday nights and halls again? When are we expected to be able to just breathe, let alone live? Attending just one UBT, PBCC seminar or event, you will be confronted with wall-to-wall messaging of the slogan of the day over and over again. Care and compassion, system of help and care. We'll do the thinking and you do the doing. If you don't understand it, don't oppose it, etc. Number 5. The leadership dictates sometimes in great detail how members should think, act, and feel. For example, members must get permission from leaders to date, change jobs, get married. Leaders may prescribe what types of clothes to wear, where to live, how to discipline children, and so forth. Yes, the PBCC definitely meets this criteria. The entire history of the PBCC has been grumpy, cantankerous old men and their sycophants issuing decree after decree about the most minute details of people's lives and enforcing them with an iron rod, resulting in massive trauma, hurt, and broken families and people all over the world. Often for some of these decrees to be silently reversed or no longer enforced years later when it suits the leadership, but there is never any acknowledgement that it was wrong in the first place or restitution offered to those damaged. Just going from the list of examples, point 5 gives, equals members aren't allowed to date in the normal sense in the first place. Changing jobs is generally okay unless it affects the special interest of a well-connected person. Members definitely have to get permission from Sydney to marry. Types of clothes are prescribed for church events, which okay is fair enough on its own. There have definitely been decrees about where people can and cannot live, even up to current day, resulting in financial pain and wrecking members' lives. In some cases, members being put out of fellowship and losing their families because of disputes over where people can't live. 6. The group is elitist, claiming a special exalted status for itself, its leaders, and members. Despite what the PBCC website and podcast claims, the PBCC do view themselves and their leaders as special and occupying a special place as the Assembly and the Bride of Christ, from which other Christians are excluded. Flies in the face of JND and FER ministry, but we don't read them anymore. Meetings and breaks are often filled with talk of the special light we have and how we are so much better than general society with better food and better drink. And the world has nothing like what we have. The sickening list goes on and on. What we say in public is the direct opposite from what is said and believed inside. If our light is so good, why are we hiding the lamp under a bushel? The PBCC meets this criteria. The sad part is most PBCC members look exhausted, drained, overweight, and unhealthy. Not at all a picture of freedom and happiness. 7. The group has a polarized us versus them mentality, which causes conflict with the wider society. Yes, the PBCC definitely meets this criteria. You have past great men all ranting and railing in ministry about the defiling nature of having anything to do with the outsiders or persons who have left the position, demonizing them and banning contact with persons and family members who have left. Now the princelings are claiming on the podcast and the Daily Telegraph articles that no, this isn't the case at all. We don't cut people off or treat them badly. Well, who is correct? Dean and Gareth or BDH and JSH? Because we still have meetings now about not having anything to do with outsiders or persons and family members who have left under any circumstances. Until the universal elders, who are these people anyway, come out and clarify this more definitely for the PBCC, then we have to regard the PBCC as meeting this criteria. 8. The group leader is not accountable to any authorities, as are, for example, military commanders and ministers, priests, monks, and rabbis of mainstream denominations. Yes, the PBCC definitely meets this criteria. BDH does not mix with the ordinary PBCC members. He is uncontactable by any outside of his inner circle. Any attempts to write to him are always filtered through a chain of henchmen and anonymous email addresses for deniability when something goes wrong. And a direct reply is almost never received unless it involves money or business or something about to go horribly wrong for the PBCC image. BDH is also not accountable to anyone inside the PBCC, which is why there have been so many disasters recently. And he is surrounded by yes men. When he decides to do something, for example, intervene in the Australian election, or decide to go to a country for special meetings requiring everyone to down tools and travel at a day's notice, or introduce a new holiday ban or so forth, it just happens. There is no consensus building, asking people what they think, or ability for anyone to even raise any question about it or get clarification. It seems the only authorities to which he is accountable are the likes of the ATO and government, and even then he seems to have them in his pocket. 9. The group teaches or implies that its supposedly exalted ends justify means that members would have considered unethical before joining the group. For example, collecting money for bogus charities. Yes, the PBCC definitely meets this criteria. Inside the PBCC, it is okay to lie and tell half-truths to protect the position or our brother. Collecting money for bogus charities is an interesting one. It appears that this is what Vision and UPT have been doing pre the ATO raid, collecting money from well-meaning members and then using the money to invest in the businesses of the well-connected elite and ruling family to grow them very fast to then sell off to private equity and make a huge amount of money in the process, while the rest of us struggling to make ends meet get shaken down a couple of times a year and told we aren't working hard enough and we need PPP plans and so forth, and to just keep giving and the Lord will send it back to us. Most of us are still waiting and realizing it will never come. Although from some surprising indirect admissions in Strive 26, it would seem the ATO rate has resulted in implementing more governance and oversight and independent auditors, which should make this crookery harder to pull off in the future. The question is why it was never implemented in the first place, which we know is because the leader is not accountable, so anyone suggesting this originally would have been crushed. 10. The leadership induces guilt feelings in members in order to control them. Members' subservience to the group causes them to cut ties with family and friends and to give up personal goals and activities that were of interest before joining the group. Members are encouraged or required to live and/or socialize only with other group members. Yes, the PBCC definitely meets this criteria. You only have to read a few pages of ministry or listen to a JSH recording, and you will be hit with a full-bore torrent of self-flagellation and negative content designed to break you down and feel worthless, and vicious diatribes against anyone who might be different or think different to the accepted line, which makes the people fearful and easier to control. I shudder to think of the many thousands of brethren over the years who have had perfectly legitimate goals and interests in life, cut off and not able to pursue and been crammed into a pellet prison of conformity and wasted away the prime years of their lives. This is still going on today, albeit somewhat more disguised, as now there are career options open to brethren: accounting, sales rep, accounting, operations manager, accounting, etc., all involve being chained to a desk in a cubicle with a spreadsheet or a headset. Some of the luckier ones are able to have jobs with more freedom, but this is still limited to what they can do publicly. As for cutting ties and only socializing with members, yes, we know why Dean can't use this criteria, because even Lloyd Grimshaw's conscience would have had a hard time lying to this magnitude. So out of the 10 criteria for a cult, the PBCC of today, without question, meets 9 of the 10 criteria. Dean, I would like to see you publicly explain all of these away and how they aren't relevant. Maybe you have grown up in such a privileged bubble you are unaware how the PBCC system really affects people, and that there is even culty elements to it. This is possible, and maybe now, as the first serious threat to your family's iron grip on 55,000 cash cows and the attendant money, wealth and real estate comes under threat, you are only just realizing that you are running a cult, but weren't intending to, and now trying to wind back some of the culty aspects. If so, we welcome this. Please be honest about it and admit clearly and publicly what the new rules are, so the fanatical adherents to brethrenism in all localities globally get the message, and we aren't subjected to Tuesday night beratings about meeting attendance, loyalty, and all the other garbage we get served on a weekly basis. We are sick of the lies and gaslighting. It is an insult into our intelligence to be subjected to 2 hours of narrative massaging, half-truths, and blatant lies like we were on Monday night. We can all see the emperor has no clothes. You are being forced to reform. You don't want to because you know the more you reform, the more control you lose. And we can all see you are struggling with this internally, especially Charles. If the PBCC wasn't carrying on like a cult and its leaders were approachable and accountable, I would be able to put my name here. But for obvious reasons, I can't. And this is exactly what we receive so many of, are these anonymous emails where they would love to be able to speak out and tell what they're really thinking, but have so many fears. We on the outside know that this is a cult. It's a cult through and through. And we don't say that to degrade what you're in. We say that so that you can open your eyes to what you're sitting in and then make a choice. There are many cults on this planet, many of them. And if it serves you, stay. But for many of you, it's not serving you anymore. And what does a cult do? It tries to hold you hostage in it so you can't leave. And that's exactly what the PBCC cult has done. It's kept you hostage, tied you up with family, finances, and fear. All of these things that they hold you so accountable to are now the bars on your jail cell. I want to introduce you to a website by Stephen Hassan. He created something called the BITE model that takes these 10 points into more depth. So this is his website. It's called freedomofmind.com. And it's called the BITE model of authoritarian control. And if you go down, it goes through the acronym of his BITE model. The B stands for behavior. This category explores how manipulative groups regulate and dominate their members' actions and behaviors through strict rules, rewards, and punishments, limiting individual autonomy. I stands for information, examining the tactics of manipulative organizations to control information flow through censorship and propaganda, restricting members' access to outside perspectives. And we know what Streamline 3 does on all the UBT devices. It does exactly this. The T stands for thought, focuses on psychological techniques used by such groups to shape belief and attitudes, suppressing critical thinking and promoting conformity. E stands for emotion, explores how manipulative organizations manipulate emotions, fostering dependency and loyalty through love bombing, guilt, and fear-based indoctrination. And then as you move down, it takes every single one of these and goes really in depth with everything. So I guess I would just challenge you to maybe go through these in depth and get a little bit more of understanding what each of them mean. So again, I just want to reiterate to all the insiders that our hearts are with you. We are here trying to hold space while you guys walk through some really, really rocky waters in there. I do believe, and I know many insiders believe, that this really is the demise of the PBCC. We all have family in there that we're trying to help protect as the PBCC falls to its knees. We hope that the government, we hope that all of our voices hold the Hales accountable as they sit there and tell their lies. I know I wish I had a magic wand to just make this as easy as it possibly could be. And it could be very simple. But because the Hales are continuing to lie, because they push up against what we all have to say instead of sitting and listening, this gets messy. And it doesn't need to get messy. It really didn't. Bruce Hales and the Hales boys have the power to announce all of the changes that they're saying are happening. They have in their hands the power to be able to clean up these messes. Even cleaning up those messes is a lot of work. It is much simpler than doing what they're doing now. The more they deny, the more the truth is coming to the surface. The more they deny and tell their lies, the more the insiders are not putting up with this. So to Bruce Hales, to all of the boys, to Lloyd Grimshaw, this doesn't need to happen like this. It really doesn't. Yes, this is going to be an intense makeover. Yes, this is going to have a lot of work behind the doors, but it can be done. It absolutely 100% can be done. It's only in your arrogance and in your greed of power that is causing the incredible harm that is happening right now. This blood is on your hands. Do the right thing. Until next time, much love to you all. Bye-bye.
How can you support Get a Life podcast? You can donate internationally via PayPal at www.paypal.me/Get a Life podcast. Or you can scan the QR code on your screen that takes you to our GoFundMe. Every donation helps keep this project alive. you are in a high demand religious group and need help, please go to oliveleaf.network. To share your story or be a guest on the show, email info.getalife@proton.me. You can find all our Get a Life merchandise on our website at www.getalife.net. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to Get a Life, and comment.